Oh, hello, 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 hello. It is I, Game J, and oh my God. Oh, I am exhausted. And it's been a combination of many things that I'll get into later today because it's relevant. And before I get into anything, I just want to plug the social media and get that out the way because if I forget, it won't get done. And then I'll listen back to a show and go, oh my fucking God. I didn't even plug the goddamn social media. So everybody go follow me on Twitter, Blue Sky, and that's at GameJ. Follow me on Twitch. That's at GameJ. And the YouTube channel. And you could find me on GameJ as well. My Instagram is GameJSUS. Go throw me a follow up there. And just tell me what you think of the show. I appreciate it. And don't forget that Phrasing with Jay can be found on Spotify and YouTube Music and all those major distribution platforms and things of that nature. So thank you very much, and I appreciate it. A big reason why I have been so tired, it's partially because I have changed the way I've been training, and this is specifically in the weightlifting category. Now, a lot of people know that I come from martial arts. I'm a Taekwondo black belt. I used to fight in mixed martial arts. Kickboxing, Muay Thai, boxing, all these things, jiu-jitsu, etc. Anyways, a big difference in the training that I've done is because I am testing the waters because I have really set a goal to enter a bodybuilding competition. And then later in the next year or a couple of years after that, I was going to enter into a powerlifting competition. And the major reason behind that is because ever since I retired from combat sports and mixed martial arts and active fighting, there was a part of me that was missing out on the competition side of things. And I really was. It was a weird thing. And that was really it. I missed out on the whole competitive aspect of what I was doing. And acting's great. And I'll get into acting and voice acting a little later because there are things that I didn't touch on last time that I would like to continue on to talk about. And yes, gaming news and all that other stuff, it's kind of getting pushed away for a little bit because I've really been in a different rabbit hole, so to speak. I've been watching a lot of movies back and just looking at things that inspired me throughout my own life and kind of came to this realization of, I've kind of always been destined to be an actor or voiceover talent. It's just how it is. But a big difference that I found with training is when you go from martial arts to where you need to be lean and flexible and limber and doing techniques and things like that to a system where I'm lifting just a lot of weight now. Just a lot of weight. I think I went from probably about 150 pounds maybe to 160, and I'm trying to get up to about 190. There's just so much. And the biggest difference is training for failure, mechanical failure, hypertrophy, whichever way you want to say it. It's just a totally different animal. I still hit a bag. I still spar. I still do all these things, but the sparring's a lot more limited because I'm finding a lot of my time is lifting weights and the recovery is different. And it's one of those things where the level of not maintenance, that's not the right word, but the level of planning you kind of have to do when you do certain types of training is very different, especially when it comes from martial arts where I'm very accustomed to martial arts. I know what I want to do for warming up and shadow boxing and all those types of things, bag work, pad work, etc., sparring. And when you transition that into lifting weights and setting a regiment and trying to grow muscle and put on weight and all these other things, and I'll get into the putting on weight part. Oh my God, has that been absolutely, it's been torturous. I never thought eating could be as difficult as it is, but I guess I can combine the two. But the training in itself is a lot different because, God, I mean, you go from hitting a bag and sparring and doing technical drills and cardiovascular fitness and muscular endurance to just putting on size. And it's a totally different experience. It really is. I mean, I'm lifting heavy a majority of the time. And then when I'm not lifting heavy, I'm burning out my body to make sure that the growth is happening, that the muscle tears. But then you have to think about, and we get on the food. We think about protein intake and we think about carbohydrates and your calorie counts and all this type of stuff in order for you to put on weight. And it's just a totally different animal. Now, I'm not complaining, but the major reason I'm doing it is because if I'm at my height, which is like 5'8", 5'7", 5'8", whatever, and I'm little, it doesn't look good on camera. And what I mean by that is exactly what I said. It doesn't look on camera. If I get hired to play a bad guy or a drug dealer or a thug or bad person, somebody's like, give me your money. Motherfucker. It doesn't look good if I'm not intimidating in the sense of I don't look like I could do any damage. Just because I'm a black belt and I could fight, it means nothing if the audience, when you're watching something, because movies and television and web series and short films, all that type of stuff, it's a very visual format. And if I don't look a certain way, then it's not believable. And in order for a certain believability, there's a level of weight I have to put on. There's a level of mass and size and muscle I have to put on just because that's how it is. When you see a superhero movie, like a Marvel movie, for example, here's a great example. Captain America, that Marvel movie, the first one, where Captain America, you saw him when he was pre-Captain America, where he was skinny and emaciated, and he just looked like a wimp. I'm not saying I looked like a wimp. It's just I looked lean. I looked too lean. So when I went on camera and I saw myself in some of these final cuts, I went, oh my God, I got to put on fucking muscle and mass. And I talked to a casting director, and they told me, Jay, we need you to get big. And I kind of paused. I went, what do you mean fat? And they went, no, man, we want you to put on muscle. I'm going, how much? Because that's a very vague term. I understand putting on muscle, but how much muscle do you want me to put on? They're like, oh, I don't know. We think you should gain about 20, 30 pounds. And I'm going, guys, you do realize that that's a long process. That's not something that could happen fucking overnight, G. And they went, oh, yeah, we know. Yeah, you'll do it. You could do it. And I'm going, oh, my fucking God, these people don't lift weights. These people don't do anything. What do they know about the fitness aspect of life? And it's not their fault. I mean, some people just don't know. It's ignorance. Not in a bad way. It's just a reality. If you don't train, you don't do those types of things, you have no idea what you have to go through. So I went, okay, yeah, fine. I'll do it. And then I was in this place to where I was struggling a little bit. I'm going, oh my fucking God, I'm dying all the time, and I'm not eating enough. And then I'm going, okay, what do I do? Okay, give myself a goal. And the goal was to, I gave myself, I think 2 years to see if my body could acclimate to the training. And then if it could, I was going to enter a bodybuilding competition, like amateur. I'm not taking steroids, no performance enhancing drugs. Don't worry about that. That's stupid. I think that's a different conversation. But yeah, steroids are definitely cheating. You're 100% cheating yourself. But I was going to enter a amateur novice bodybuilding competition just because I wanted to compete. I'm not thinking about some ego-driven thing to where I go, yeah, I'm going to win first place and I'm going to be the best out there. No. I'm doing it because I set a goal and I want to make sure that I can accomplish that goal before I die, because I don't want to die and have what ifs. And I know a what if would go, I could have done a bodybuilding competition and I really could have seen what I could do with it, if anything. So that's why I'm doing it. And it does help me stay motivated for what I want to do in movies and film and shorts and all that other stuff. Now, the training itself, Jesus Christ, it's absolutely grueling. So I will advise people who are entering into any type of bodybuilding, because I'm not just doing aesthetic bodybuilding. There's a difference. I'm doing a cross between traditional bodybuilding. Instead of aesthetic bodybuilding, it would be athletic bodybuilding, meaning I'm putting on size and muscle, but it's muscle that I can actually use, that has a function to it. Because I don't think training to look aesthetically bigger is going to help me in everyday life. I think it's kind of useless in a lot of ways. And people go, well, why are you entering a bodybuilding competition? And it's like, well, yeah, but if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. If I have to put on size, I'll put on size. But I went, okay, let's do athletic bodybuilding. Now, what is athletic bodybuilding? Athletic bodybuilding for me is more still doing the 5 compound lifts, deadlift, squat, bench press, barbell row, and what's the last one? Military press. All those are heavy. Sometimes I don't do my 1 rep maximum because your nervous system gets exhausted and you just can't. But I lift heavy on those. And the other ones that I do, the other weightlifting exercises and things I do, they're not as heavy, but they're still pretty heavy, so I can keep my strength profile up. So there's a combination between strength and conditioning and traditional bodybuilding. So I have the muscle, I have the size, but I'm also able to use it. So it's not just, oh, he looks like he can hit hard. It's like, no, motherfucker, I can hit hard. It's not that I look like it. I don't want to just look intimidating. I want to be, and that's just for movies, okay? It's not because I feel like me putting on muscle makes me intimidating in any stretch of the imagination. No. Anybody who knows me as a pretty positive guy, and I'm not like that. But if I have to use it, if I got to fuck somebody up, I want to be able to use it, and it's not just for show. I don't want muscle just for show. That's useless to me. Other people, you know what, they can do what they want. But for me, that's just the useless part. I don't want to do that. Now, it's going to come to the eating part. Oh my God. Eating is so difficult because the major reason is I'm very lean by design. And oh my God, I can't tell you how many times I'll be counting calories, or I'll be counting carbohydrates, or counting protein intake, just trying to figure out where my sweet spot is. And I talked to shout out to my boy Cam and my other good friend Sean, who owns the gym I go to. And they kind of gave me a lot of insight and knowledge on, because they're both personal trainers. And they gave me insight and knowledge into how much I should be consuming, what I should be eating, why I should be eating it. So I'm not just going, okay, well, I'll eat it because they told me. No, I would like to know why. And I've always been a healthy eater, but I've always been a little too healthy of an eater. And they've kind of encouraged me to eat a fucking pizza, eat a hamburger, eat something that isn't the best for me. And people who know me on streams know that I have at times, but it was so far and few between. And that was usually when I was desperate and I hadn't eaten the entire day. And I'm sitting there for fucking God knows how many hours doing a live stream. And I'm going, oh my fucking God, I'm dying over here, man. But I've learned how to navigate that. And the thing is about eating is, oh my God, I'll tell you, there are times where I'll be eating, it'll be 2:00 in the morning, and I'll have this gigantic bowl of oatmeal and peanut butter, and I'm running out of breath eating. I'm eating so much. I'm drinking down and consuming like around 200 grams of protein, and I'm eating all this chicken and fish and pasta and bread and all this shit that I'm going, oh my God. I gotta be honest. The one thing I didn't expect was how difficult bulking would actually be. I promise you, I don't remember which bodybuilder said it, but there was a bodybuilder who kept getting asked what his favorite foods were. And he went, I don't have a favorite food. He's basically talking about how he hates eating and eating is just fuel for his body. And I get that mentality. Now, there's some people out there who are different. Some people find foods that they like and that are still good for their body and give them what they need for whatever their goals are. For me, eating's always been a tough thing in general. I know other people have suffered from that, so I'm probably not alone. And I just eat what I know is nutritionally smart for me to eat. I mean, I can't tell you how many meals currently I've eaten cold just because I know it's what I need in my body in order to fuel myself for the next training session to accomplish my goals. And big shout out to the Bioneer. He's a fitness YouTuber, and he's actually one of the better ones you'll ever see. There's a lot of fitness YouTubers out there who are full of shit, full of drama, full of negativity, full of these fucking whack workouts and plans, and they're just trying to sell you supplements that you don't even know if they work or not. So fuck that. But the Bioneer, that dude's interesting. He has a really interesting insight in how he views exercise, and he says, don't live to work out, or like don't live to train. Train to live or work out to live. And I get that. I've been a big fitness enthusiast my whole life. And after I retired from combat sports, active competing, I really needed something other than acting, other than voice acting and making music and stuff to kind of feed that competitive drive. And you know what? Oddly enough, I found things like powerlifting and bodybuilding to supplement that. Sure. Do I spar? Yes, when I can, but it's nowhere near what I was doing when I was still actively fighting. It's just one of those things. It's very bizarre. And the change that a person goes through. And I just wanted to talk about that a little bit because I know that everybody goes to the gym in their own way. And if there's anything this little tidbit or however long I talked about this can do for people, I hope it gives them a little insight in the sense of you are not alone. Whatever your fitness goals are, or if you are bodybuilding or if you are a martial artist, there's nothing wrong with trying different things. I think as we get, people are beeping horns outside, cocksuckers. Anyways, I think as we get older and as things change and we become adults, we get a little stuck in work and paying car insurance and bills and all this other shit and making money. And that's important. But you have to always remember to go back and do things that you love. And something happened with me over the last, I think about year of me going back into weightlifting and doing this different skill set. I still train martial arts. I love it. Always will. Still do my kicks, still do my punches and my boxing and my kickboxing, my Muay Thai. But now I've really enjoyed this strength training to what it is now in bodybuilding. And I like it. And it's not even how I look. The look is just the benefit that I get from it. I've fallen in love with that type of training. And don't get me wrong, as much as I love lifting weights, I much rather punch a bag, so that's never going to change. But I see the value in it. And before in my life, I didn't. But when I think about myself now, I very much see the value in it. And it does help when you have to be more aesthetically pleasing for a visual medium such as acting and movies and things like that. So it's a multi-headed approach in why I'm doing it. And I just thought people might like a little insight in it and how I'm doing with it. I'm doing great. I feel fine. It's just the eating is so goddamn difficult. Oatmeal, peanut butter, fish, chicken, steak, eggs and toast, and eating everything under creation. And I don't recommend that for everybody because not everybody is naturally lean like me. Some people might have more difficulty, becoming lean than I do. I'm just naturally lean. So if you're a naturally lean person, I'm no nutritionist, but you can kind of be a little more lax in your diet, eat what you want, as long as the majority of it is healthy and not, McDonald's and burgers. Like, don't do that. If you're filling and fueling your body with fucking burgers and pizza, dude, there's going to be diminishing results. So I just figured everybody might like a little update of what I got going on there. And outside of bodybuilding and training and all this type of stuff, I've been thinking a lot about this because I'm an actor and a voiceover talent, and I make music too, but everybody knows that. Anyways, go check out the Spotify. Go do that. No, I've been thinking about the differences between voice acting and acting in general. And acting is just very different. I'm doing a movie that's coming up for a small production in England. And it was when I was reading the script and checking over the exposition and the dialogue, et cetera, et cetera. Just reading a script like any actor would. It's so different when you have to think about where you're going to be standing, what your costume's going to be, and really getting into the character. Because one of the major differences with acting versus voice acting is when you're voice acting, you have the handicap option of always having that script in front of you. So you never really forget your lines. I mean, you may not say it the right way, but then you can cut and go back and there's another thing. You can always go back to your lines and, pause it and go, okay, let me read the line again. Let me take another take. Let me do another take. In acting, it's not really like that. Yes, you have the ability, if you don't do something the right way or something comes off wonky or wooden or bad, they can say cut do it again. But it's a lot more. You have to know your lines a lot better. You have to understand what's going on in the script. You have to know what your scene partners are going to say, your co-stars. And it's not just you got to know the line before your line, because the camera picks up everything, and the camera knows if you're really in character or if you're just waiting for your turn to speak. The camera doesn't just pick up what you're doing. The camera picks up what you're thinking. And that was something that I don't remember who said it, but it was something that I internalized very quickly, because I went, okay, it's one thing if I just read a script and I know my lines and where to say them, blah, 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 blah. But it's those moments where I'm not saying the lines in my body language and my actions and everything that I'm doing that I found so intriguing, because I'm going, if I'm playing a character on a movie or whatever, a show, a short film, blah, blah, blah. If I'm playing a character and it's visual, I have to know. I have to know where I am, what my character is, what the mannerisms are, and you have to develop them. And this is, I imagine, just general advice for any upcoming actor or people who just do it. And this is the way I think about it. I really think about acting as this thing where you have to fully invest into the character. And that requires, for me, is to read the entire script. Yes, I know, actors read the entire script, but I'm sure other actors do this, but I kind of just read it and memorize it. I want to know who says what the scene before me. I want to know in my scene what exactly is going on. So by the time I get to filming, I'm not thinking about lines. I have the lines memorized. The only thing I'm really thinking of is how to give the emotion required for that scene. Because I don't want to do this thing to where I don't know the lines completely, and then in between takes, I got to look back at the lines or whatever. And I do that anyway, even if I know the script. But there's a difference between knowing your lines and brushing up on things and looking at placement or timing or where someone enters a scene or what character says what, versus not knowing your lines and trying to memorize them right before you film. That's just unprofessional, and I wouldn't do that. But it is different. In voice acting, you have this handicap where you can always just kind of refer back to your script. You could pause, take a minute, take an hour if you need to. Just depends on you as a voice actor. But acting is different. The camera's on you and you can't look at the camera. There's all sorts of tricks. You could look up, above, around, whatever. Just don't look at the camera. And it's a weird thing. Not looking at the camera is something that you got to learn over time. It comes with experience. There's this, I remember when I first did a movie, and I any time I wanted to look at the camera, like I felt like it's like my face got hot. Like I knew I shouldn't be looking over in that direction. And then by the laws of reverse psychology, I would look in the fucking camera. They go, Jay, don't look in the camera. I'm like, oh fuck, okay. God damn it. So it was just one of those things. And that's something you got to learn over time, man. And it's just like memorizing a script. And the best way I can describe it is you just need to do a lot more. You just need to get booked on as many short films as you can. If you're new, do unpaid work. Just make sure your travel's covered or whatever you find agreeable, okay? And just practice. Get on camera as much as possible. Film yourself. Literally film yourself, okay? There's some that I used to do. I used to film myself doing mundane, everyday activities, and I made sure to not look at the camera. And the reason why is because after a while, you do forget the camera's there. And I think it's a good thing to do, especially if you're new, because most of the time when you're new, you want to look at the camera. I certainly did. And the way I got through that was filming myself when I was doing normal stuff, or I got experience not looking at the camera when I was filming training footage or filming documentary stuff or any of that type of shit. And then there's these weird times where you got to look into the camera. So then you're breaking the same mentality that you just had earlier. And sometimes it could be in the same film. Sometimes they want you to look into the camera. Other times they don't want you to look into the camera. Other times they don't want you to look in the camera and it's zoomed in on your fucking face. And it's like, how do I not look into the camera when it's right in front of my goddamn eyes? You just have to learn how not to look into the camera. And that, like I said before, it takes time, it takes practice, but that's one of the major differences between acting and voice acting. And people know this. Acting is a visual medium, voice acting is an audio medium. And don't let it fool you. When you're voice acting, you are very much acting. It's just different. And in some ways, voice acting can be harder than traditional acting because in acting, you have the visual aesthetic. Voice acting, you don't. It's just you and a microphone, and it's up to you to create the emotion in your voice. And it can be difficult because say you have to do a scene where someone's in your arms and they're dying and you have to be emotional. You're not holding anybody. You don't have a scene partner to work off of. It's just you. And if you're self-recording or doing isolated recordings, it's you in a room by yourself, or you have a live voiceover directed session and it's you and a voice director or a producer or whoever's running it. It's totally different. And you got to find that depth that you need for the production because once you submit those lines and the production accepts them, that's what's going to be on the animated deal or the video game. So it's an entirely different challenge. And it's just one of those differences, man. I've done video games and audiobooks, and there's another difference. There's one I could talk about right now. The difference between doing voice acting for a character versus doing narrations. Now, narrations require their own level of inflection, tone, cadence, and how you deliver lines, because sometimes you need to be monotone. Sometimes you need to be monotone and a little dramatic. Sometimes you need to have inflections of disappointment, of regret, of agony, of happiness, but still be monotone enough to speak with authority. That's weird. How do you do that and still sound like monotoned? It's difficult and it's tricky. And it's one of those things where just like in acting and voice acting, these are skills that you pick up over time. Imagine doing an accent. Okay, especially if you're not good at it. I highly encourage people, if you have to do, accents, whether it be as an actor or voice actor, to go to YouTube, go to the internet, because there's tons of great free resource materials out there that will teach you how to do the base level accent that you need to use. And it doesn't come easy. It takes time, it takes practice. It depends on your own fluency in picking up accents and learning how to do them. I have been fortunate in that I kind of had a good natural ability to do them over time anyway, because when I wasn't training in competitions as a kid for taekwondo or fighting, any of that type of shit, I'd be watching movies. I was a big movie kid growing up. I mean, I had friends, but a lot of the times I would kind of just shut myself in behind a door in my apartment or my home that I was growing up in, and I would watch movies and I would mimic a lot of the stuff that I would see on television or in movies, and it's helped me in my career as an actor and a voiceover talent today. So it's just one of those things that I think voice actors, especially beginners, should really think about, because it will help you. At least I believe it will. And there's this other thing that I was just thinking about that I wanted to include. The auditioning process when you're acting versus voice acting. If you're auditioning for a movie, sometimes the production has you self-tape. So you tape an audition, you send it in, and then they tell you whether you got it or not. It's similar in voice acting. The major difference is in acting, when I'm doing on-screen stuff, I've always felt it necessary to memorize as much of the script, the audition script, as possible. Because once again, it falls back to what I was talking about earlier. There's nothing wrong with cold reading, okay? A ton of times I've auditioned, even parts I've gotten, okay? I got them during a cold read. And for people who don't know what a cold read is when you're reading the script. You have the script in front of you with the director, with the casting people, possibly the writer. There could be a multitude of people there. And you're just reading. And it's kind of a little bit like voice acting, It's just you're giving the inflection and what you think is best, and that's really it. But I always like to try to have as much of it memorized as I can, because for me, like I said earlier, if I have most of the script memorized, it's less about remembering lines and thinking about the inflection and the speed and the rhythm of how the words are written. Because a big reason that I personally felt like in my earliest of early work that I came off wooden is because I didn't understand the rhythm or the cadence or the tone of how I had to convey certain things. And then over time and audition after audition after audition and getting films and all this other shit and short films, I learned. And it's similar in voice acting. The major difference is it's not visual. Sometimes it is, but a lot of times it isn't. A lot of times you just submit your voice files and then somebody hires you or somebody doesn't. And most of the time, no news means you didn't get the part. So you can't obsess over it. And the same goes for movies and on-screen work. You know, if you don't get it, you don't get it. You just move on. That's why I say, NSA, never stop auditioning. Never stop auditioning. Because if you're not a famous actor and you're a working actor, the second you finish one job, you're back to the unemployment line. So you better have something else set up. And that goes into my next little piece of advice for people who want to do this for a living, who are fortunate enough to do this for a living. And I don't know how other voice actors or other actors do things, but I've always been at the mindset of, okay, if I got this part, that's great. I'll give it my full commitment, but I'm still going to be auditioning even after I have something, because I can split focus when I need to. But the closer, for example, I'm doing a movie, okay? It's called The Turned, a little short film. And we start filming in, I can't exactly remember the dates right now, but it's in my email. So we start filming it, I think, next month or whatever like that. So the closer it is to the date that I got to shoot, I read the script more. I stop worrying about auditioning for other stuff less and less and less and less and less. And then I just try to focus in on what I have to do, because to me, every audition is a fucking business card. Every role you do is a business card for a potential producer, writer, director to come look at your work and go, I like them. And then they'll hire you. Sometimes I've gotten hired off the fact that people just liked my previous work and they felt I was good for a certain role. Other times I had to audition. Sometimes it's a mixture of both. People would bring me in and want me to audition because they've seen something I've done and they liked me. They liked what I did. Other times I've gotten hired simply because they went, yeah, we like Jay. Let's hire him. And it's just like, okay, fine. I'm cool with that too. But it's something to consider, especially if you're new. If you're new, this podcast, oh, God damn it, I said it. Oh, damn it. This show is really geared toward people who are new in voice acting and in acting in general, because I feel it could be a tool. I feel like it could provide people with something that other shows might not give them. Now, I don't know. I don't listen to other shows, but I just think it's valuable. I think it's valuable to always be consistent with your auditions. Don't get disheartened if you don't get a part. Most of the time, it's not you, okay? Especially in voice acting, okay? If you don't get selected for a role, it's not because you're a bad actor necessarily. It's not because they hate you. It's not because of any reason you might overthink your mind into thinking or believing. Most of the time, and I've done this because I've done casting myself. If it's not what the person is envisioning, you're not going to get it. It's just that simple. And if you are what that person's envisioning, guess what? You get the part. Or sometimes you could be completely different from what the casting director envisioned. And then that's why you get the part, because what you did on it spoke to them. So it's one of those things of, don't be afraid to be yourself. Just give it your best effort. And if you don't get it, move on to the next project, because it doesn't do you any justice worrying about stuff you have no control over. Submit your audition and move on. And if you get the part, great. Congratulations. Be professional, be productive, and try your best. That's all you can honestly do. Now, there is something else I want to bring up to everybody's attention, specifically when it comes to acting or voice acting, anything like that, okay? I want everybody to remember that I've suffered from this too, where I was absolutely hyper focusing on auditions, on acting, on voice acting, and kind of neglecting other parts of my life. And I don't want people to fall into that. It's very dangerous and it's very easy to do. When you're acting, you're playing pretend. You're playing a character. You're meeting different, interesting people on a regular basis. You're acting, or you're voice acting. You're getting to be a character, and that's an exhilarating feeling. And if you're a creative-minded person, it really does scratch that itch in a way that nothing else really can. However, don't let it go too far, okay? I am the first person to say, never stop auditioning. Always look for the next role, blah, 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 blah. And I encourage that, and I still believe that firmly. I still do that. However, I also take the time now more than ever to have time to decompress, to not think about certain things. Now, admittedly, a lot of the movies I watch that I talked about previously, some that I'll talk about today, yeah, there are reasons why I watch them that are because of acting reasons. But I also try to learn how to turn off my brain and just allow myself to enjoy something, because this is true. Balance is a very real thing. Not something just in martial arts and training. It's also in life and things like acting and whatever career that you're in. If you focus too much on work, you run into this problem that I've had that I still struggle with. And I think it's okay to talk about this openly, because I think everybody suffers from it. There's a risk of being a workaholic. And when you're a workaholic, you may think you're getting stuff done, but the quality of your work will absolutely suffer. Sometimes it is okay to put something down and do something else. And it sounds counterproductive. It really does, because you think like, I should be working on my craft. I should be working on my craft, and that's fine. It's okay. I do it all the time. I'm very obsessed with acting and trying to be the best actor I can be, whether it's voice acting or acting, any type, okay? However, there are times where sometimes you need to look at other work. You need to look at other things that have been done, not just to compare it to your own, but because it might fucking inspire you. And that's a big deal. A big reason why I became an actor was because of actors I watched growing up, because I loved what they did and I wanted to know how they did that. It was when it came to writing, I would look at writers that I liked and I wanted to understand how they did that. And that, luckily, I was raised up in the DVD era and what do you call it? The VHS era, where, oh no, actually it was more in the DVD era, where there was a lot of behind the scenes featurettes and all these types of things where I got to really get a peek behind the curtain. And it inspired me to kind of want to become an actor even more. And then I did, and it came at a really weird time in my life. It was after I just got out of music, and I was still doing music. I was still touring locally and somewhat nationally at the time, opening for way bigger bands that I had no business opening for or working with, but they liked me. And once again, sometimes, and this is a little bit political, sometimes if people like you, they'll book you. And it's not necessarily because you're the right choice, especially in music. Sometimes people just book you because they like you, or they know that they know you'll put like 100 people in the goddamn crowd, or more people if it's a local show. It all depends. But I'm going to tell everybody that you need to balance, like you really do, because you run the risk of becoming a workaholic. And being a workaholic can affect all sorts of things. If you have a family, if you have a wife, if you have kids, you could start neglecting those things. And that's the last thing you want to do. The last thing you want to do is work so hard that you have nobody to celebrate it with when you finally come back from the set. And here's another thing. I heard this from Tim Allen in a TV show he did called Last Man Standing. No, of course, it comes from television and movies. So stupid. But it was very relevant. Tim Allen was playing a father character, talking to one of his daughters. And the daughter really liked her job, and she was super gung-ho about it and was spending all her time working. And Tim Allen said, the writers did a great job too. Tim Allen said, "It's easy to leave a job you hate to come home to your family, but it's hard to leave a job you love to come home to your family. And I thought that was very powerful because it's true. It's very true. If you love what you do, truly love what you do, you are going to spend every waking second you can on it. But if you have friendships that you care about, if you have relationships that you care about, if you have a wife or a husband or whatever the fuck, those people can easily become left in the dust. And realistically speaking, and this is true about people, there's only so many times you could sacrifice them to pursue your career before they get tired of it and before they're going to walk away from you. And that's mainly if you don't have a balance. You can be about your work. You can be about your career. You can be about your passions. But make sure if you have those people in your life and you want to keep them around, that you give them part of yourself too. You have to remember that. And this is something that I say to new voice actors, new actors, even ones who are out there who might be listening to it now, or animators or editors or anybody. This is relevant. You can absolutely damage the things and the personal friendships and relationships that mean the world to you if you hyper-focus on the work. There's nothing wrong with it. Loving what you do. Being all about what you do. Just make sure you take the time to let the people that love you know, not think, know that you love them back. That means sometimes you have to put aside something. And there's nothing wrong with that. And that was a lesson I had to learn the hard way. And I really hope none of you do. Because it's not something you want to experience. I've had to experience it. And I live with that to this day. And I'll always have certain regrets about certain things. But I can't change those. So I hope it does help you. I really do. Because the last thing I would ever want is for any of you to lose anybody in your life, friendship, relationship, whatever, people that you love and care about, because you push them away to pursue something that might not happen. And that's another thing. At one point in time, everything ends. Okay? And that's reality. We know this. Especially in something like entertainment. And I have a motto I live by when it comes to acting and voice acting and making music and all this type of stuff. Every project I work on, and this is true about me, every single project I work on, I treat it like it's the last project I'll ever do. Because tomorrow is promised to no one. And it allows me to stay humble, have no ego about what I do, and allows me to work as hard as I can when I'm working on it. And when I'm not working on it, I'm doing other things that I do simply for the fact that I love them. And yes, that is researching acting. That is watching actors that I like and revere and respect because I want to be a better actor. But I do it in a entertaining sort of way, in a passive way, so my mind isn't fully activated on acting. It's passive. I get lost in the movies that I watch. I get lost in some of the games that I play, even though I haven't been doing a lot of gaming. Oh my God, I still have Cult of the Lamb sitting in my PlayStation 4, and I haven't even turned the motherfucker on. And I really should, and I want to play that game because it looks interesting, but I genuinely haven't had the time. And that's not because I'm being a workaholic. It's just because I've been busy with acting. I've done a ton of narrations and audiobooks and blah, 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 blah. Either way. You know what I'm getting at. The point is, find balance. It's important. And don't ever forget it. Don't become a workaholic and fuck up your personal life for your professional life. Unless you care more about your professional life than your personal interactions. At that point, then disregard what I've just said. Go listen to my song, 3 Demons. When I'm rapping like it's, real quickly about 3 Demons, oh my God. 3 Demons, that song I made, that's on Spotify and SoundCloud and Apple Music and iTunes, blah, blah, blah. Go check it out. Amazon Music, not Apple Music. It's a song because I got in, this leads into something else. I was chilling, smoking a blunt, and I was watching The Simpsons. And Mr. Burns was on The Simpsons and he went, family, religion, friendship. These are the 3 demons you must slay if you wish to be successful in business. And I went, oh, that's a great song idea. And then I wrote a song called 3 Demons that I based the entire mentality off Ebenezer Scrooge and Mr. Burns in a rap song. And I was like, oh yeah, excellent. I love it. I love it. Badass. Bangarang. I'm down. And see, that's what I mean. Sometimes you just need to do something else to become inspired to create a work, to create a song, to write a script, to do better in a movie. It just happens. And that's the importance of finding balance. Sometimes you need to step away in order to step on the gas again. And when you do, you could find great results. Okay. I was watching a couple different movies recently in my downtime when it's late at night and I'm just eating massive amounts of food and I hate life because I'm bulking for this fucking bodybuilding competition. Oh my God. I've been watching, I watched 2 movies specifically. I watched 2 movies by Robin Williams, rest in peace. And Robin Williams and another thing about Robin Williams was one of the first actors and / comedians, whatever, that I saw growing up that I really appreciated. And I knew even as a kid that I identified with Robin Williams because he had ADHD and I have ADHD, and I didn't know about the depression and the suicidal stuff. I'm not suicidal, not in any shape or form. Never have been, never will be. But I did understand the depression thing. Like there were times where I felt down. Not saying I get depressed, I don't, but I understood it. And Robin Williams had such a perfectionist streak in him. And he was really good at what he did. He's very talented, especially as an actor. And I know people might have differing opinions. I don't care. This is mine. I've always loved Robin Williams movies growing up. And I went back and I watched 2 that I really liked. The first one I'm going to talk about today is the movie Hook, the reimagining of Peter Pan. And Hook is such an important movie. Not just because I look like Rufio. No. No. That is kind of a cool little fun fact about me. Little Easter egg there. I look like Rufio. That's amazing. If I got kicked out of Neverland for smuggling clocks, God damn it. But no, Hook is an incredible movie. Peter Pan left Neverland, became Peter Panning, grew up, became an adult, and became this overzealous asshole businessman. And he became a prick. Like, he was obsessed with business. He neglected his kids. And it's so fucked up because you find out later that Peter Pan, he always wanted to be a dad. And that's scary because how many shit dads out there are there? There's a ton. Let's be real. What did George Carlin say? Hell is full of dads. It's true. Hell is probably full of fucking dads. But it was really interesting to see that slant being taken with the Hook movie. And then Hook captures his kids, and then he goes to Neverland, and then Captain Hook, played by Dustin Hoffman, the illustrious Dustin Hoffman, fantastic actor. He looks at Peter Pan when Peter's trying to save his kids and he can't fly. And he tells Captain Hook he's afraid of heights, and it's like, wow, are you fucking kidding me? And Julia Roberts is in that movie too. Whew, what a pair of legs. Good God, Jesus Christ, she's beautiful. I remember Dustin Hoffman was looking at Peter Pan and went, is it you? Is it really you? Like something, my worthy opponent? And it was so powerful. And Dustin Hoffman's a great actor for doing that. He gave Hook such gravitas and such dignity and villainy in such a regal and distinguished way. Also, Captain Hook's a total fucking lunatic. He's trying to kill a bunch of goddamn kids. Like, he's trying to murder 10-year-olds. Come on, man, that's crazy. But Hook was a great movie. And it was not only the movie itself, it was the whole concept of growing up, becoming lost and being an adult, being lost in adult things, and then having to re-find the inner child. That is powerful to me because as I've gotten older, I've never lost the inner child. I've always been a grown-up kid in a way, but I'm able to do adult things. That's never been a problem. But I find it a compelling, really intriguing concept to explore because I go, God damn it, you're right. How many times have you met in life that just like, dude, they're grown? It's scary. And it's very relevant, especially today when everybody thinks it's a rat race and it's about money, 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 money. And everybody thinks money's going to bring happiness. And that's very much not the case. It's not. Being happy isn't how much money you have in the bank. Sure, money makes things easier, but money comes and money goes. You can always earn more, or somebody can give you some, or like money comes and money goes. Okay? If you're not independently wealthy, there's a chance you may never be, and you have to be okay with that. That's a reality. No matter what you do in life, you have to work for it. But if we get back to Hook, the one thing I liked about Hook was Robin Williams' portrayal of Peter Panning, and Peter Pan was great. He went from Peter Panning, this obsessed workaholic, kind of an asshole dude who cared about his job and his career and ignored his wife and kids. And it was really sad to see because I've known people like that who, in my life growing up as an adult, who were so focused on work that they neglected everything and they threw it all away. And it didn't end like a Disney movie where everybody was reunited at the end and everything turned out okay. A lot of these situations, it doesn't turn out okay. A lot of these people lose their families. And it's a staggering reminder of never lose your inner child. And Peter Pan found his inner child. And it was really interesting to see Dustin Hoffman manipulate Peter Pan's son and get him to come over to the dark side, so to speak. And then you got him dressed up like Captain Hook toward the end of the movie. Earlier in the movie, you have Peter Pan's son playing baseball with the pirates. And it was this really funny scene where the pirate is stealing a base and somebody in the crowd goes, he's stealing second. And then I think it was a catcher or somebody pulled out a gun and shot the dude stealing the base. I don't know how we got back on the baseball. That's incredible. We're back on baseball again. Whatever. I was talking about Disney movies the other day and kids movies from the 90s. And sure enough, baseball was all over that one. Now baseball is coming to this show today. Oh, wonderful. It was funny as hell because you have Captain Hook just chime in. No. We're playing by Master Jock's rules. So what? No shooting? What? Are you telling me that pirate baseball has murder? That's terrifyingly awesome for whatever reason. And there was also this interesting stuff between Rufio and Peter Pan that I really liked. And I'll let everybody watch it, okay? I don't need to tell you what happened in the Hook movie entirely. There's just certain scenes that stick in my mind. And the one scene that really sticks in my mind was toward the end of the movie in Act 3. And Rufio is fighting Captain Hook, and everybody knows who's seen Hook knows what I'm talking about. It's where Rufio dies, and it's really sad. It's actually very sad because you see Rufio and Peter Pan go through this whole thing to where they were adversarial, and then they became friendly, and then they became when Peter Pan became the Pan, Rufio drops to his knees and hands him his sword. He presents his sword back, and it's a powerful moment in that movie. And then you see them fighting, and they're crowing. It sounds so stupid to say out loud. It's a kid's movie, but Rufio is fighting Captain Hook. And at one point in the sword fight between Captain Hook, Rufio gets the better of him, and he goes, looky, I got hooky. And then Captain Hook stabs Rufio. And Rufio falls back into Peter's arms. And Rufio says, in his dying breath, like his last words living, the dude's like a teenager. Mind you, this is a kid dying. And he goes, you know what, like my one wish is? It's like, I wish I could have a dad like you. And he dies. And I'm going, oh my fucking God, that's sad. Throughout all that, the writers and the movie itself built such a powerful relationship between Peter Pan and Rufio that when Rufio dies, you feel awful for that situation to occur. Like, I feel terrible for Rufio. I feel terrible. I hated Hook at that point in the movie, even though I love Dustin Hoffman as an actor. I'm still very well aware it's a movie. You know, B.D. Wong didn't fucking die. He's alive. He's still doing movies and TV shows to this day. But I felt terrible. And I wanted Pan to win that fight. I wanted him to win. I wanted him to kill Hook, but I knew he wouldn't do that. And it was just, that was one of the most powerful scenes in that movie. And Hook isn't, okay, look, I'm going to get to why Hook's important, okay? Hook is important because it is one of those things where the Hook movie reminds you to never lose your inner child, because there's a lot of adults out there, and sometimes, even in ourselves, we lose that inner child. It pays to watch that Hook movie again, because it's going to reignite the logic that you had when you were a kid, to enjoy the little things, to not take things so seriously, and just to be a kid. Sometimes being an adult isn't the right answer. Sometimes being a goofball, being an idiot, being a kid, being invested in something just because it's fun and because it's a game is simply enough. And it can provide mountains of positive feelings and a good time for you and everybody else that's around you. It's a very good movie. It's way better than it should have been. And the next movie I watched was Jack, starring Robin Williams. And that movie, God, that movie struck me differently in one major plot thread. Yes, Jack is also, Robin Williams plays a kid named Jack who ages 4 times the rate of a normal human. So by the time he's 10 years old, he's 40 years old, yada, yada, yada. And you see Jack go through this entire journey of being homeschooled, and he has overprotective parents who don't want to release him into the world because, admittedly, kids are cruel, man. They're going to think he's a freak, and they call him a freak for parts of the movie. And then the kid, Louie, in the movie, asks him to play basketball because they want to win the game, because the other kids that they're playing basketball against always win. And then it turns out that Jack bought a basketball hoop. Not Jack, his dad bought a basketball hoop. Jack asked his father if he could get one, which he agreed, and they were playing basketball together. So next thing you know, Jack is Shaq. Thank you, Jennifer Lopez, for being extraordinarily attractive at that time in the 90s and being awesome in the movie as the teacher. And then Jack makes friends, and it turns out Louis becomes his best friend. And then there's this whole separate part of the movie where for a while you forget that Jack is going to die way sooner than the rest of us, because he's going into the treehouse. He's buying Penthouse magazine when magazines were still a thing, before the internet became a thing and all teenagers watch porn on their computer now instead of looking at a skin mag. There's something about skin mags. I don't know what it is. I think every young man saw like a fucking Playboy or Penthouse when they were younger. And now that just doesn't happen. I just don't think it does. I don't even know if they still run magazines anymore. I think it's all on the internet. God, that's sad. There's a rite of passage that goes with those things. There really is. I mean, you had to hide them. You had to put them away. You had to make sure no one found them. Like, dude, it was a whole thing. It was like smoking. Good God. But you forget that while Jack is getting friends and sort of being a regular kid, one little thing nearly kills him. Like, he wants to date Jennifer Lopez's character, the teacher, so he asks her out and she rejects him, and rightfully so. Jack may physically be a 40-year-old man, but he's still a 10-year-old boy in his mind, and that's not right. And thank God we had a movie that touched on that fact and went, okay, no, you're physically 40, but you're 10 years old, and Jennifer Lopez and her genius would not, facilitate something like that. And good for her, by the way. Absolutely good for her. That sounds like a fucking felony to me somewhere in some country. I feel like that's illegal. Definitely in America, it's probably illegal. Most likely. Most definitely. But that causes Jack to have a problem with his heart, and he gets sick. And Louis and his friends are trying to get him to come out and play. And, you see him on this breathing mask, and it's really heartbreaking because his overprotective parents are more concerned now, specifically his mother, who has been his best friend his entire life. And she doesn't want to give that up. She loves her son. And I get that. I totally get that. It's not hard to understand that if you have a kid, you're going to love that kid. You're going to love that kid, unless you're a shitty parent. If you are, shame on you. Fix your fucking mind. Fix your life. But if you're a parent and you love your kid, you're going to do everything for your kid. You're never going to want him to be hurt or be upset, but that's just part of growing up, man. You change them, you feed them, you get them clothes, and next thing you know, then they're a teenager and they hate you for no reason. They don't want to speak to you. Then they graduate and they go off to make lives and families of their own. And all you can do is your best and hope you gave them enough life lessons and taught them things that they're going to take into their adult life for the better and for the positive. And the thing about the movie Jack is the movie Jack gave me one big idea in my mind, especially after I got finished watching it. It's to not take life for granted. Once again, similar to the Hook movie of never losing your inner child, but it's more, once again, like Hook. Enjoy the small things. Life is not all about work and making money. Sometimes life can simply be like riding a bike or swimming or going out to a meal with your friends or just hanging out and having fun, laughing, simply enjoying life. And it's something I think a lot of us far often forget because it does feel like a rat race. Got to pay your car insurance, got to pay your bills. You got to do this, you got to do that. You gotta. There's a lot of gotta. And sometimes it helps to watch a movie like Jack and try to look through the eyes like Jack's, like Robin Williams' character, like you're seeing things for the first time. The world is an incredible place. The people you meet, the places you can go. If all you do is focus on work, then there's an opportunity you're going to get to your 40s or your 50s. You'll be even older, and you'll realize that half of life is over, and you've never done half of those things that you set out to do. Sometimes it is very easy to be trapped or to become trapped in being an adult. And there are moments in life that you can take or choose not to take that can provide you a little bit of that reprieve, that can help you remember what it was like to see through Jack's eyes, the proverbial 10-year-old, to see things like they're new again. And if you find yourself rejecting those moments, please try to change your mind on that, because there's value in it. There's value on doing things simply for recreation. That's how humans regenerate. That's how we recharge. It's not just about eating, drinking water, getting enough sleep. It's also about doing things that fill you with wonder so you don't lose that zest for life. And you could see it in people's eyes. It's in people. You could see people who still have that wonderment in their life, in their eyes, in their soul, and people who have lost it. And I've seen those people who have just lost that spark of life in them. And I never want to be one of those people because it looks so dead inside. And I wouldn't want that fate to befall any of you listening to me right now. Go out, have some fun, do something interesting, draw a fucking picture. The simplest shit in the world, draw a fucking picture, try something new. Just try something new. What's the worst that could happen? You suck at it? Guess what? We all suck at stuff that we're new at. It's okay. It's okay to be bad at things. There's no rule in the world that says you're not allowed to be bad at something. Everybody's bad at something when you first try it. And then after time, you become better at it. Just like acting, like voice acting, like writing a song, like writing, like drawing, like inking a comic or writing a comic book or becoming a coder. Everything you're going to suck at the beginning. Just don't be afraid to try new things, and don't take life for granted, because like the movie Jack and Jack's life, it's short. And I said this earlier, tomorrow is promised to no one. So do your best to live life. Not just for work, not just for success, not just for money, but for you and for your friends and the people you love. Because that's important too. Look, we're all born and we're all going to die one day. It's the part in the middle that's the important part. What is that part? It's called living. So do that. Just live. There's nothing wrong with that. All right, everybody, I'm going to hop out of here for now. And I'll see you next time on Phrasing with Jay.